Hi everyone, and welcome back to another video. This is Mindy Eggen. In today's video, I am going to show you the easiest way to make watercolor backgrounds using your dye inks. I'll be using all Gina K Design ink pads for my video today, but give this technique a try with some of your ink pads in your collection. I'm also going to be using a lot of products from the Gina K Designs June 2021 release, starting with the new card kit Time to Coast. Gina's kits are always such an amazing deal because they are jam-packed with products. So in this kit, you're getting two 6x8 clear stamp sets, one 5x7 stamp set, two block shadow dies, two word and matching shadow dies, and then also 8 pieces of cardstock, which include coral reef, key lime, ocean mist, and wild dandelion. I'm going to just quickly show you some of the actual stamp sets here. This is Enjoyable Greetings, which is a great versatile stamp set. This is the Time to Coast stamp set. So we have these beautiful images that you can either just stamp on a background or do some coloring with. And then we also have the sketched flowers. And these are all the stamps that are included in the Time to Coast card kit. I'll be using many of these products today in my video. Now, also with the new release is a stamp set called New Beginnings. This one has some gorgeous images on here, including that lunar moth and also the stamps to stamp into the wings and coordinating sentiments. We also have beautiful butterflies too, and Melanie does a great job of these butterfly stamp sets. This one has a lot of great designs on it. There is a coordinating die set for this, a smaller one, but if you have the original beautiful butterflies stamp set, those dies match all of the butterflies. Next, we have Caring Flowers, and this one has this beautiful floral image on it along with some sentiments. I love the font of these sentiments, and I will definitely be using them quite a bit. This one is the Antique Roses stamp set, so it has a couple images on here, including that butterfly, a smaller stem with the flower, and then that large bouquet. And if you're intimidated by coloring, keep watching and I'll show you how you can use some of these large floral images in your cards. This one is the May Flowers stamp set, and even though it does have the word May down there and a Mother's Day sentiment, it also has these flowers on here you can continue using throughout the year. And then we have Simple Sayings. We have beautiful scripty fonts and also some simple fonted sentiments to go with that. Now on to the star of the show, which is showing you this technique of creating easy watercolor backgrounds using our dye inks. So I have here Tranquil, Teal, Sea Glass, and Passionate Pink ink cubes from Gina K Designs. And I am just smooshing across some color on a piece of acetate. I actually won't end up using this acetate afterwards. I'm going to work on that craft sheet. So either one will work. And then I'm going to spritz that heavily with some water using my mister bottle. And then I'm taking a piece of Tim Holtz, and this is the heavy stock cardstock, so it is really meant for some serious water to be added to it. And I'm taking that cardstock, I sprayed the cardstock with water and then dragged that through my ink. And just check out that background. It is an absolutely gorgeous blend, beautiful color combinations on the side. I was scared to touch it. It just came out so perfect. There's no way I could recreate that exact one. So I'm going to set this off on the side to dry for a little while and continue making a few more backgrounds. I'll share with you the color combinations that I'll be using. This one is going to be in the navy, Tranquil Teal, Sea Glass, and Passionate Pink. And I'm just, like I said, smearing that across. You could use full-size ink pads if that's what you have. It's just that it's going to take up more room, so you might not be able to get in as many colors. Then once again, I'm going to spritz this heavily with water and also my heavy stock cardstock. Then taking that corner and starting at the top and smearing that through the ink. Once I lift that up, we have that beautiful kind of purplish tone in there. You can see all the colors that I use, the pink, the blue, a little bit of purple mixing the blues and the pinks. So it just came out beautiful. Now I have a lot of leftover ink here. So I'm taking another piece of that heavy stock and spritzing it with water. And then I'm going to drag this through. So I was trying it a few different ways, whether I start from the bottom, maybe I twist the cardstock a little bit. This one came out very smooth. It's a very light background. So if you wanted something a little subtle and not so vibrant, going through it again, kind of like a second generation swiping, would work out really well. So I did wipe up a little bit of the ink down towards the bottom and I added some more pink. I wanted to have kind of more vibrant pop on there. So once again, I'm spritzing water, spritzing the cardstock with water, and then I'm going to drag that through. Now, right now I'm working on a craft sheet, and this is the Tim Holtz craft sheet that is usually on his glass media mat. So that works really well when you're doing any type of ink smushing techniques. Now this next one, I was trying to go for a little bit more of vibrant colors. So I'm going to be bringing in Passionate Pink and Wild Dandelion. Now another thing I'm thinking about while doing this is what colors are going to mix well together. Pink and yellow are going to mix beautiful colors because it'll mix orange if depending on the right kind of smearing I'm doing there. You want to be mindful of that. I did try a rainbow, but because of all the water and the smearing, it pretty much turned into mud, which would look fine if I was doing a fall card. But I was looking for something more of a sea background or just some bright colors. Now this one is Tranquil Teal and Lucky Clover. Now, like I said, I am using a heavy stock cardstock. It is a very, very smooth background. It is really meant for mixed media type of work, so it can hold up to a lot of water. You can try this out with cardstock you have on hand. You just want to be mindful if it's an 80-pound because it might not quite hold up to the amount of water that we're putting down, but definitely give it a shot. You never know what you'll come out with. Now I have these all sitting off on the side to dry, and I'm going to give you a quick look at all the backgrounds I made. So in just a matter of minutes, I created all these beautiful, colorful watercolored backgrounds. And what I'm going to do, because they are kind of curled a little bit, they warped a little bit with the water, I'm going to sandwich each of these panels between a piece of copy paper. So I have a piece underneath and a piece on top. I'm just protecting that, and then I'm going to run it through my die cut machine, and that'll help flatten it out. Now that all my panels are flattened out, I'm going to start putting them together into cards. And I will walk through some of the process with you, not the entire process, just enough so you can get an idea what I did with all of them. So on this one, I'm starting by die cutting a circle out of a piece of white cardstock that's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And I used the single stitched circle die from Gina K Designs. And I'm going to use one of these images from the Time to Coast stamp set. I'm starting with this awesome seagull on top of that post. And once I line that up in my Misty, I'm stamping that with the Obsidian ink. And I am going to stamp it a couple times. It's a pretty detailed image. Once that's stamped, I'm taking that front piece of cardstock with the circle opening, and I'm adding a sentiment, and this is off of the Sketched Flowers stamp set because you can never have enough birthday cards. I swear I'm always looking for a birthday card. So I stamped that on the front as well, and then I took some foam tape, lined the entire back of that front panel, and just laying that over there. So it's giving me some dimension like looking through a window. And I'm going to call this good. You could turn this into a shaker card. You could add some embellishments, but I'm going to leave it just as is. Now for my next card, I'm using one of these backgrounds that has that kind of purplish and pink and dark blue in it. And I just did not have the heart to cut any of these down. I normally would trim it down so I have a white border around my card panels, but the edges were just so beautiful and they looked so natural with that watercolor look. So I'm leaving these as is. I lined up the image that is from the Time to Coast stamp set, and this has that beautiful lighthouse image to it. So I'm using my Misty Corner because my stamp set is going to hang off of that cardstock. So using the Misty Corner kind of pushes the cardstock up for me and gives me that room. And then I'm stamping this in the Obsidian ink, which I'm pretty much using that Obsidian ink throughout all of my cards on here because it is a great black ink for all of these images. And this sentiment is also coming from that Time to Coast stamp set as well. Now I will be taking all of these and adding them to card bases, but I'm also calling this one good. I didn't feel it needed much more to it. I think the background itself and that gorgeous image was just enough for it. Now, one thing I do want to show you really quick, I didn't have this on hand during this filming, but Gina is also releasing a Master Layouts 5, and it has that awesome window die up there for a front panel, which any of these images from the Time to Coast stamp set would look phenomenal through. So if you want to get that Master Layouts 5, I definitely recommend heading over there and grabbing it because those sell out so fast and I can't wait to use it. Now for my next card, I'm using one of these backgrounds that's kind of lighter, and I'm bringing in the Beautiful Butterflies 2 stamp set and just laying my butterflies out all over on my card, just creating kind of a scattered background. I haven't used these yet, so I need to condition them. And to do that, I'm just taking my hand, pressing that all over the stamps. When your stamps look kind of cloudy, then they're conditioned. Then I'm going to ink it up with the Obsidian ink, and I may need to do this a couple times because they are such detailed images and I'm stamping a lot of them at once. So definitely handy to have some sort of stamping tool. For sentiment for this card, I am going to be using a sentiment off of the Sketched Flowers stamp set, which is part of the Time to Coast card kit. And I die cut out a circle using that single stitched circle die. I had stamped the sentiment in the middle, and then I'm just adhering foam squares to the back of that circle, and I'm going to add it a little above center on my card. To finish this one off, I'm going to add a few dewdrops using my Gina K Designs Connect Glue and an embellishment tool, and it is showing up as a white, but once this dries, it will be perfectly clear. I also want to point out one more thing is if you have the original Beautiful Butterflies stamp set and die, those dies match these butterflies. Now, one last card I want to share with you using one of these watercolor backgrounds is stamping large floral images. This is the image from Caring Flowers, and sometimes these large images can be very intimidating. They're gorgeous, but maybe you're just not comfortable with coloring them. This is a great use for them, is stamping them on the background, and if, depending on your image, if you have a coordinating die for them, that would be beautiful. Just imagine stamping this and then die cutting out your image to have these multiple colors throughout the entire image. So this is another really quick and simple card that I did. Off screen, I did a sentiment, and once again using that single stitched circle die and stamping in a sentiment off of that Caring Flowers stamp set. Now my last card that I'm going to share with you is kind of a bonus card. It had nothing to do with watercolor backgrounds, but I had this idea and I wanted to share it with you. So I have my Make Art Station here, which is a magnetic tool I like to use. I placed some paper in there from my Mindy, and then I took a little bit of adhesive and I put that down on that paper. I'm using that paper so it doesn't get my magnet all sticky or my magnet board all sticky. And then I have my layering white cardstock cut to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 and a strip of Post-it tape that I lined up using the grid lines of the mat. Now above this, I am lightly ink blending sweet corn ink with my Gina K Design blending brushes, just going up ever so slightly. I'm going to have it fade off into white. Then I'm going to bring in the Sunshine stencil. Now my stencil was still a little tacky. I still had some pixie spray on there. And even though my magnets will hold down the stencil, when it's an intricate stencil like this, you still want to use something like pixie spray because of that intricacy. It could come up on you when you're ink blending. So I'm going back over that. My Post-it tape is still there. And I ink blended on some more of that sweet corn ink. So tone on tone ink blending. Then I removed that Post-it tape, lining that over the area that I just ink blended. So I'm matching up my borders. And now I'm coming in with Sea Glass ink. Starting from my masked off line, going down a little ways, it's going to fade off into white. And then I'm going to come in with some Tranquil Teal, and I just wanted to add a little bit of contrast to my water. So I'm only doing right under my masked off area, just adding that little bit of a darker color right there. Then I can carefully peel back my masking or my Post-it tape. I would use my masking magic, but I can't find it, so I will definitely be adding that to my order soon. So now I just took my cardstock over to my Mindy and I'm lining up this sailboat image. This is off the Time to Coast stamp set. Lined that up and I'm going to stamp that in the Obsidian ink. So I kind of have this silhouette type of image in my background, and I did place the boat a little bit down from where my water line is. And I am going to stamp it twice just to make sure I have some really good crisp lines. Then I'm bringing in some sentiments from the Enjoyable Greetings. I love this kind of blocky font and then the delicate, smaller sentiment underneath. And I really enjoy the look of having those line up on that horizon line. And after I stamp this one twice to make sure that it is a really nice crisp black on there, I'm calling this good. I'm keeping these really clean and simple. I love how they all came out. Now, I do have one more card I want to share with you that I didn't catch on camera. I kind of made this when I was playing around. And this one is where I did some ink blending and I masked off kind of a middle portion on my card. And to make kind of that jagged edge is I had a piece of Post-it tape on the top and the bottom of my card, and I had ripped the edges of the Post-it tape. That's what's giving me kind of that frayed look. And then just finishing off by stamping in that lighthouse from the Time to Coast stamp set. And there we have it, the easiest way to do watercolor backgrounds with your dye inks. If you enjoyed today's video, I would really appreciate a thumbs up and would love for you to become a subscriber if you're not already. I will have all of the links listed down below in the video description. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll see you again soon.